accommodate the need for us to make the changes, the time changes on behalf of Director Emster?
Not a problem, not a problem.
We are live.
Thank you.
All right, we are calling to order the System Development Planning Committee meeting for April 12th. I'm serving to lead us through the agenda until Director Edminster is able to join. He's a bit delayed. And so the first item on the agenda is a proposed board agenda consent item meeting on shelter art proposal, which we've had under legal review. And I'm going to ask Eric if he'll talk a little bit about the research we've done on this so far and the recommendation, which we've already had reviewed by legal on how we might pursue this. Eric? Eric, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. One day I'll learn. So one of our goals we're working towards now is enhancing our brand and raising awareness of public transit while also implementing more community collaborations. As part of this initiative, we're considering the adoption of a policy that would establish a process for the installation of locally created artwork at our bus shelters. The initiative would be community driven, and the artwork would be proposed by residents, nonprofits, and sponsors, although we will not accept ads. The costs would be the responsibility of the applicant. Prior to installation, the murals would have to be approved by a CAT committee, the neighborhood association in which the shelter is located, the Historic Site and Monument Commission, and the City Council. So it would have a pretty rigorous approval process. Similar initiatives have been implemented by agencies throughout the country, including by other agencies that use the type of shelters we use. The company actually reported they have had artwork installed at their shelters in Austin, Gainesville, Georgia, California, and Charlotte, North Carolina. And I've actually been talking with an agency from Milwaukee, and they that is basically what the proposal I've drafted is based on. So today's meeting purpose is we're just trying to get your thoughts, general support, if you would be interested in us pursuing this so we can finalize the details and get something to y'all for approval.
Director
I
Adams.
have some pictures of some of the art I can probably share with you if you want to look at some of the examples the shelter company provided me.
Eric, if you want to put that up on the screen, we'll let Director Adams offer any thoughts or comments he may have.
Yeah, I was gonna show him the photos here. Let me see this in the shelters. You see that?
Yes, sir.
So it's my understanding that operators prefer that the shelter panels would remain transparent so you can see through them. I think that helps serving their customers. So what we have here is perforated metal. These are actually our shelter provider, these same types of different color. We do have this this type of perforated metal, sheet metal in our shelter so you can see through it. But they can still get the artwork on there, as you can see. And we also would have an option of using glass as well. Some murals have used glass, and let me see if I can show you that one as well. See that? So.
Not yet. We're still looking at the same one, Eric.
Oh.
Hey, everybody, it's Clinton. I am so sorry I'm late.
That's all right. We've gotten started. We were just having a conversation with some input on the shelter art proposal. I know that that's something that was of interest to you. And so I may ask Eric to repeat what he had said earlier, just so you can, we have been working with legal to review and understand, and they are satisfied with the proposal that we've developed now in terms of its full consideration of all the things that are unique in Savannah. about any proposals related to shelter art. Eric, do you want to run through that one more time?
Thanks.
Sure. Yeah, I'm having some technical difficulties with sharing here, but basically, Clinton, I'm Director Edminster. We're looking at raising awareness of our transit agency, boosting community collaboration, and drawing interest in public transit. One of the ways we see ourselves doing this is through a shelter art program that would be community driven, meaning the community neighborhood association, nonprofit organization, improvement agency, whatever type would be the applicants and pay for the actual artwork and installation of the project. They would submit it to us and it would have to go through a thorough review process. First, it would be reviewed by a CAT committee, followed up by the Monuments and Sites Committee. And then ultimately, if it's in the city limits, it would have to be approved by the Savannah City Council. And if it's in the historic district, it'd also have to get a certificate of approval within the Historic District Board of Review. So quite a review process.
Are you super duper sure it's got to be done by city council if it's in the city?
Sure, if it goes to the Monuments and Sites Commission, it has to go to the city.
I think it does down, but we never had to do that. I don't think we had to do that for the murals we did in the Starland district.
Okay, well, that'd be great. That'd be one less review body they'd have to go before.
It would be one less review, but you could also think of these reviews as just great free publicity, because it's very unlikely that a project that CAT would propose to both HSMC or City Council would not be approved. And it could be a really great way to just make even more, I think, especially with these art projects, any way that it can make some noise is probably just another good way to, people love murals. They like watching them come through too.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much. We'll make sure we talk to legal a little bit further about that just to make sure. But I think your point is a really good one, that, taking it through these local processes is a great way to build brand and build momentum, and build understanding and build community knowledge of and so forth. It's transparency in action, right? So, all right.
Can I ask a couple other questions? Because I do really like this project. I think it has a lot of potential for us. So a nonprofit, as an example, would pay for the project?
Yes, or they could get a sponsor. A business could sponsor a neighborhood improvement project. We would be prohibiting ads. There wouldn't be advertising any type of thing on it, but this would be community driven and community paid for. They would pay for the artwork and the installation, and that would include initially the labor. So CAT would actually not even be doing the labor, and that's what the way it works with the agency I've been talking to in Milwaukee. It is all community driven.
Cool, great.
We're just budget is so tight right now, and our man forces looks so struggling a little bit. We didn't want to put any extra labor on them.
No, I think that's really smart. That's really smart. And that allows for more creative, that kind of takes it out of the hands of CAT, and that could be seen almost as beneficial with just, if we wanted to get some of these projects done, then, that organization can work solely on that.
Director Adams, did you have comments or questions, sir?
Yes, I do. Mr. Carroll, so each neighborhood will have a different mural?
Yeah, whichever neighborhood is interested in having a mural in their shelter, it'd be community driven. So the idea is that we would make them aware that this opportunity is out there, and any neighborhood that's interested could find an artist, or maybe an artist is in that neighborhood. They would have an idea. They could present a proposal to CAT. Once they get the okay from CAT, they can move on to the various review boards, and once it's approved by those, we could get it installed in their neighborhood as a beautification project.
Director Adams, I will say this, one of the things that we really want to encourage, though, is, and we will try to help facilitate this, is in areas and in shelters in areas of our community that are perhaps a little less advantaged. And we want that beauty to be everywhere, not just in certain places and in certain locations. And so we want to be sure that we're helping ourselves to grow the support for that in those communities and those shelters located in those communities around our system, so that the benefits of a shelter art program are shared by all, and in fact perhaps are even shared first in those areas where just the beauty of the shelter and the fact that it creates a more welcoming, a feeling of safety and security and so forth as a part of it, just because it's taken care of and it looks beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Director Edminster, we're going to now turn this over to you. I've been being you for a minute, and I think you can do it a lot better than me. So I'm gonna turn it over to you. We're now to the planning update, and we're ready to go with that when you are.
All right, I'm on my tiny phone today. Okay, so great. So we're through item 2. All right, again, I just want to apologize for being late. Thank you everybody for making it here today. Looks like we have a planning update, so I'll just swing it right back to you, and let's hear about that.
Very good. Well, Ashley Goodrich, our planning manager, is going to offer that planning update today. But I will tell you, I'm very excited and it's the biggest thing. So I've just got to let you know as well. So we learned last week that our FTA apportionment, like many transit systems across the country, we're getting additional apportionment over previous years. And we are taking a portion of that funding that we didn't necessarily expect, but is now part of our full apportionment. The funding that we were needing to do our master transit plan is now in place. So you remember, we already had the match funds identified because the city, the county, the airport, the Economic Development Authority, and you, the CAP board, had already committed to that, and committed, remember, to going ahead and advancing the RFP so that when the funding did become available and approved, we'd be ready to go. We expect that funding to actually be, again, it's been apportioned to us, but the award will not take place for just a little bit. But this means that we will have the funding in place and can get the master transit plan started this summer, which was the schedule we wanted to be on. Incredibly exciting. And I know that the county and the city are both, leadership are really thrilled about this. So I just wanted to, I'm sorry, I'm stealing a little bit of Ashley's thunder, but this was an exciting moment. So that we've got the total 500,000 is now in place and ready, and we're going to be moving that RFP out within the next week or so. Ashley?
Congratulations, by the way, and to the whole team. That's really news.
It's exciting. Well, it's the leadership of a great board that makes things like this happen. So thank you all. Ashley?
Good afternoon, everybody. Give me just a second to share my screen for you. All right, so I hope everyone is doing well today. My name is Ashley Goodrich. I'm the planning manager of CAT, and I'm here to discuss the planning department as you guys well know, our planning department prepares short and long-term plans for the authority, as well as coordinates grant applications and capital project planning. We are excited to announce that CAT will undergo several comprehensive planning studies over the next 12 to 18 months. New programming is the Zero Emission Rollout Implementation Plan. This document is required for the latest structural law, IIJA discretionary funding. The ZEB is designed to prepare CAT's timeline to plan conversion of our fleet to more low, no emissions vehicles, or to a full zero emissions vehicle fleet. This will include exploration of power alternatives as suggested by Georgia Senator Ossoff, including hydrogen power, and these other power alternatives to the electric that we now have in place at this moment. Renewed programming will be the transit development plan combined with a comprehensive operations analysis. The development of our TDP COA will renew CAT's current strategic goals and strategies while serving our community demographics with a midterm outlook and fixed route ferry optimal service design. You will be able to see over the next couple of months as we get started with the TDP, we will be running the TDP a little bit ahead of the Master Transit Comprehensive Plan. As we go through both processes, there's going to be quite a bit of comprehensive planning, both at a high agency level and a near-term agency level. CAT's Master Transit Plan is our future comprehensive long-term outlook to define a specific vision for CAT, including financial and other implementation strategies utilizing a community-led process. The master plan will identify specific capital and operational services to be prioritized and implemented and proposed planning horizons such as 2024 to 2030, 2030 to 2039, as well as 2040 to 2050. So our master transit plan will be really a full 10 to 20 year outlook on our financial strategies and overall large capacity issues of public transit today in Chatham County and Savannah, and where we will be going for our future. Just to talk about a little bit of our current ridership, typical performance indicators that the planning staff reviews on a regular basis are contained in transit service guidelines, which we initiate and monitor on all CAT system route services. We want to point out some positive increases for March, as our capacity policy was lessened on March 14th to allow for greater prosperity of ridership. More capacity is always a good thing, and you're going to start seeing that in our numbers both through March and April. A variety of our routes all gained in a passenger per hour percent change of anywhere from 15 to 20%. We hope to see that ridership continue through April, as it was only about half the month of March that ridership was allowed to expand. And we're hoping that with good weather this spring, we'll continue to see further expansion in our ridership. The Route 3B, Augusta Avenue, continues to be a well-performing route regardless of COVID. The Route 14 Bjorn is starting to gain back its pre-COVID passengers per hour and ridership. Further evaluation of DOT service will be necessary, as the fourth route is outperforming our entire system. That's all of our core routes. However, downtown DOT route, with some routing changes last year, is currently fully underperforming. So as we get into some of our service level opportunities over the next 6 to 9 months, we'll be looking at adjustments for some of those things. A majority of our routes have been operating about the same as they have all through COVID. But we are excited to see the recent increases.
Ashley, can I bug you a couple of things?
Sure.
So was all of March with full capacity?
So it was my understanding that full capacity was implemented by our operations team just for St. Patrick's Day. So almost about starting the week of St. Patrick's Day. When we do load capacity data review, so we can go into our AP data and our other data sources, our Clever data that's being installed right now, and we can go back and look at that load capacity over almost back 2018. Where our capacity issues were. When we instituted that particular policy, it's such it was such an extreme constraint that all of the load capacity percentage, all the load capacity levels, they just all sunk. And that goes back to what would be what's called a load factor. We don't look at load factors that often in transit unless we have probably really a Forsyth dot in the Abercrombie. Those could probably be the only two routes we would even think about load factors, because majority of our routes are not yet hitting their passengers per hour KPI to warrant that further need to look at how crowded they could be.
Ashley, let me take just a minute and answer the director's question. Director, we
Sure.
started full capacity, full seating capacity on fixed routes on March 14th. So it was only in place for half of March.
And we're already seeing some pretty drastic increases in all of those routes. That's pretty interesting.
So we started on Monday, March 14th, beginning to allow full seating capacity on our fixed route buses. So that's the answer to your question.
I am not shocked by the Forsyth or downtown numbers for the dot. That thing just, I saw it pumping people up and down, the city in Forsyth today. Was there any, I know there had been conversation with the city about extending the Forsyth dot. Has there been any continued conversation on that?
We'll have to get back with you on that, Director. We are having conversations about a number of different CAT related operations, and we are talking about the dot, but I don't have an answer for you on that right now, so we'll get back to you on that.
Got it. All right. A couple of people were asking me, so I might keep you guys on that too. All right, great. Thank you, Ashley. If you've got more, keep going.
Okay. So in kind of in tandem to the question that you've asked, the planning and scheduling departments are going to be looking at July service adjustments for the new fiscal year. Because we still are having some legitimate issues in our fixed route system, we will be wanting to make some adjustments to really meet the level of service that we can provide, and also complement the right amount of staffing that we have available right now at this time. We don't anticipate, or at least that's been made aware to the planning department, that we're going to have an increase in CDL bus drivers. So some of the service alerts and things that have been come through to us, we're going to be taking a look at a lot for July. It also helps that July is also the start of our next budget fiscal year. So any statistical variations that we may be encountering right now, we will be looking to make those adjustments at that time.
One other thing I would add to that is, while it is true, the statement that was on the previous slide about we're not anticipating a significant improvement in bus driver availability, as we sit today, because we're in the same situation that our peers around the nation are in terms of operator recruitment. But I will say this, we have seen some recent successes, for example, in paratransit operator recruitment. We are hopeful that the policies that you all have put in place with bonuses and so forth, the structured investments there, are going to be ones that we will see benefit from. And we are still continuing on the staff, the management leadership side, to brainstorm a better understanding of the labor market and our particular labor market, and how we can engage in a way that brings us in more folk to operate the vehicles. And I'll give you an example. This is one from this morning, but that it's not about the buses, it's about our ferries. But nonetheless, this is the kind of creative thinking that we're doing. Is so we've been having a really hard time getting deck hands. And so this morning, when we were talking about what are the requirements for deck hands, they're actually not, substantive or really significant requirements. But one of the opportunities there is, how are we marketing to high school seniors who are coming out of just in a month, who are going to be graduating and who may not necessarily be destined right now for college, who may and who like working around the water and who would see this as a really interesting opportunity. And so we're going to be doing, Eric is going to be working with our Marine Services staff to produce a video that we're going to be sending out to the high schools over the next, in the next few weeks prior to graduation, to recruit from a talent pool that we haven't even been talking to. And so those are the kinds of things that we're starting to do, is to try to be more, where's our talent pool? What are the possibilities that we haven't thought of? And what are the ways that we need to better understand the market, our specific market, in a way that we can interact more competitively in it, in addition to just the national issues that we know are surrounding bus operators and so forth right now. So I just wanted to be sure I mentioned that. It's not hopeless. It's we've got some things that we're thinking about, and the good work that the board has done to put those bonuses in place to help increase our competitiveness are all part of that. Ashley?
Sure. Mere implementation steps that we will be conducting planning staff over the next quarter will include further completing phase 1 of the Clever ITS project relation, optimal route and scheduling improvements, trapeze updates and databasing at a bus stop level, and due diligence to know the public of any and all service changes that we may be making in July. Go ahead.
Quick question. So I think maybe I missed a part at the last slide. And I'm just going to tell, so there's a service reliability plan, which you guys are planning on implementing in July. And that service reliability plan, is that a combination of different route changes or possibly other changes to the fixed route in order to bring service to the level that we can actually provide? Is that the whole point?
Yeah, so a service reliability is really when you're looking at sort of these short-term service quarterly board changes that occur in our routing and scheduling on a pretty regular basis.
And when you say board change, is that like that's a change that the board needs to approve of?
I do apologize for using the word board in terms of this committee. That is what at CAT, the operations team calls this sort of timeline.
Okay.
It's what it is that it is a scheduling update. In terms of tacking on a title to it, service reliability is what our goal is, to make these scheduling updates. If we were already meeting our KPIs through COVID or not through COVID, then we would seemingly already be reliable, and therefore any scheduling changes or any scheduling updates would be relatively minor. Right now, we're looking at manpower assessments with the operations team. We're looking at weekly roster issues, time point issues, and sort of collecting that information in order to say some of the previous changes that were just implemented in March into the service schedule, are those working? Are those not working? And then what to go for July.
And these implementation steps, these are the steps that you guys are going to take to make that happen.
Yes. So in terms of implementation for this sort of quarterly adjustment, we are really focused on, because this is starting the new fiscal year, attaching a pretty rigorous schedule to these implementation strategies. So a lot of this is interdepartment coordination, as well as giving enough time for a variety of CAT staff members to have an adequate review and completion of their steps to the service change. What will happen probably between now and June and July is that we're going to be getting with our folks in marketing and communications we want to make sure that they have enough time to do things like order new maps and order new paper timetables, so that some of these different small procurement orders that happen alongside the service planning and scheduling, you'll be able to see a July 2022, Abercorn map update and a Route 29 route update and the 17. So all of those things just take a lot of different components of CAT. And so we'll have quite a few different deadlines through April to May and June, so that each team member at CAT can meet their part of the puzzle.
All right.
Cool. Thank you.
And then I do have one more update. This is for both Director Administrator and Director Adams, is that we are so currently working at the Garden City expansion. We've been in communication with some of our partner organizations for the GIS mapping regarding the phasing of the Garden City expansion, as well as service analysis to continue discussion along. That service analysis have a better idea of what sort of fixed route service possible in Garden City, as well as a few better estimates to what that service would amount like.
All right.
What is our hope for that to go online?
I would say right now it's still in a communication process between CAT and the Garden City administration. We will have to sort of get to a level to formulate an agreement on whether that public referendum will be required as part of the special tax district, and then look at sort of Garden City's timeline for an approval, and then back to the CAT board for approval, and then eventually to the county commissioners for an approval.
Director Adams, I would add this. I think that the short answer again to your question is we don't know right now. There, as Ashley just described, there are some steps that we've got to go through with legal as well as with the jurisdictional, including our own board, in order to move towards implementation on that. And then we also see that the opportunity, I actually rode that route yesterday and got a better feel for that whole State Route 21, just that area right there and so forth. One of the things we want to be sure that we do is that we've done the right technical analysis so that the ridership forecasting, it's not just a matter of someone saying, I want service and I want it here and I want it to go from there to there and have this many stops, right? That'd be great. But what we actually have got to do the technical work to do proper ridership forecasting that enables us to know if what we're putting out there is, it can be properly financially supported. Will it in fact enhance our system and not become, something that could be an issue with our system? And I think we've just got some work to do to get there. And the good news is that this also affords us an opportunity to consider this too under this whole master transit plan in a way that we can think about it from a system level, not just a route level. So all of that, all those are important considerations, which I think suggests to you that it's probably not going to happen like, as quickly as perhaps we would hope, but we are doing the real and substantive work now to make it happen.
I get it. Thank you.
Sure thing.
That concludes the presentation for the planning department. If there are any more additional questions.
Thank you.
We've still got a marketing and communications update, Director.
Yes. Yes, we do. All right, let's hear about that.
Eric, would you like to give us our marketing and communication update?
I don't really have a presentation for you, but if you have any questions regarding the information there in the packet, I'm here to answer.
We do have a few kind of fun things coming up. Eric, you want to mention the, we're trying to, one of the things that we had talked about when I first got here, Eric and I sat down and really, he had so many fabulous ideas on re-energizing the CAT brand. And it's, some of it is quote unquote marketing, ridership marketing, but some of it is just the brand sort of recognition and so forth in the community. And so we've been trying to do some fun things to encourage that. And one of the things that we've got coming up is a group of dancers from SCAD that are going to do a little flash mob dance out at the ITC on a Friday afternoon. I think I put that in my last snapshot that I sent to you all. But so we'll be showcasing SCAD, and we'll be showcasing our own brand and the CAT system and so forth, and be something a little bit fun. So things like that.
Yeah.
Things like that, stay tuned for.
It's the Confidential Dance Group with a K has agreed
Don't
to
forget-
make a quick appearance on April 29th at CAT ITC.
We've also got the, and I think I included that in last week's snapshot as well. We've also got the Employee Appreciation Day coming up and a Rider Appreciation Day coming up. So, and in addition to the shelter art, and then the regular communications activities that Eric's team stays involved in. Eric, you want to mention the Grocery Express and kind of where we are in that part of the process as well?
Sure. We're looking at rather focus on our paratransit customers initially. We're looking at potentially, and also as a way to address some of the shortage of drivers, we're looking at possibly starting up some type of grocery delivery service. So rather than bringing the customer to the grocery store, we'd be bringing the groceries to the customer, which we think might be more efficient and less time consuming. And so I've been working on that. Still a little bit of work to do, but we're looking at doing a kind of soft launch with some of our existing customers. And we're going to go try to generate, see what type of interest there is in such a service.
All right. Well, Director, I think that's all of our news for today. I know that you've got some other matters on the agenda to run through, but that's our big news for today, with the headliner being the master transit plan is funded.
Yeah, that's really, really good news. I was kind of trying to figure out how we were going to do that, and now I don't have to think about that. So that's really nice. I do have I am signed up for the customer text notifications, and they're great. They are very helpful. I see here that we've got 269 folks added there. I think that's a fantastic service. I think whatever we can be doing to get folks signed up for that, especially as we consider doing some of the, I'm not going to be able to remember the name of the quarterly updates that we're planning on doing, the resiliency updates. But I think if we're going to be updating some of our routes more frequently, having as many of our riders on that service as possible would be great. And the only other thing I wanted to say was that I really, really liked the look of the Director's Digest. I thought that looked very nice, just from a readability perspective. And
all kudos to our fantastic board administrator, Beverly Dumas. All kudos to her on that.
yeah, it looks great. It looks very, very nice. And
Thank you all. I'll need to share some of those kudos to Miss Sarah, our graphics, as well, Mr. Massimo. So thank you. Glad you like it, Director.
They do look very classy. And Director Adams, do you have any questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. So are we okay to whip through? I've got nothing else under old or new business. On other committee updates, I think we've hit all those. I think we're all good.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate both of you, and the commitment that you make to this committee and to supporting CAT success. So thank you all very much. We have the best board on the planet.
Thank you. All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
All
Thank you, everybody.